You are going to be coloring today on 2 different pieces of paper cut into squares for this printing project. When you're coloring, I really want you to think about the color wheel. We just got done talking about colors that are next to each other mix nice. So if you look at my examples, yellow and orange right next to each other on the color wheel. Then we go to red, then we go to purple, then we go to blue. So I kind of just followed that pattern on this one to get the colors to blend nicely. It doesn't have to be in a radial symmetry, in a circle. It could be just blending across or in a diagonal. So if we follow this one, blue, then green, then I kind of got it that lighter green, yellow, and orange. So they followed that pattern right in a row. If I do another one, maybe this one I'm going to do at the diagonal like I talked about. So I would maybe start with a color. And notice how I'm not drawing this perfect line and coloring inside that shape perfect. I am going to blend by overlapping. So these oil crayons work really awesome to get a nice dark color. Next to blue, I could go purple or I could go to green. So I'm going to go to purple. And when I mix, they're going right on top of each other. And where they overlap, I start to get that new color. So because I mixed blue and purple, I'm getting this blue-violet in the middle of them. So have fun today creating 2 different squares that are colored with different patterns. Purple, I could go back to blue, I could make a pattern, or I could go to the next color, red. So my next color is going to go right on top, leaving some overlapping to get that red-violet. So 2 squares, make sure that your names are on both. The printing parts today. You are going to need to get a square of foam. So this foam is more like a foam plate you might eat out of or a to-go container from a restaurant. You might notice that one piece of the foam is kind of a little bit shinier than the other. If you notice that difference, have that shiny side up. You're going to start by creating a radial symmetrical design. That means it's going to look the same all the way around. You can use rulers, you can use some of the circle tracers. I am going to lightly sketch with pencil. So the thing about this foam is we cannot erase. So once I put a line in there, it's stuck in there. Even if I erase it, it's still gouged in there, carved in there. So I am just making something up. I'm going to start with an X. Right now it's the same on all sides. If I trace a circle in the middle, that would still be symmetrical. Ignore that bell. If I trace other circles, like down here, what I do here, I have to do on all 4 sides. So everything is getting drawn in pencil first. Then, to make sure that we push hard enough, we're going to trace in 2 different colors of pen. So the next color pen I did was red. That just means as soon as my design's done, I'm going to go right on top of this with red pen. So I do everything with red, and then I'm going to do everything with black. It might not show up perfect. I might not see a really nice black line, but I know as I'm doing this, I am getting in there and pushing really deep. A cool thing to think about as you're scratching your design in is you could color some spots in. So I'm pushing really normal writing, and when this prints, this is going to show up as color, not as black. So I know that's weird to think about, and it will make more sense when you see it in the video, but the areas that you push down harder are going to show up, well, the paint is not going to show up there. You're going to see your colors there. So I'm going to take my time and I'm going to make sure I push all those lines down. Then the next thing you'll see, I have 2 colored papers and I have my printing plate ready to go. So how I know this is ready, you can kind of tell there's a black on it. I've reused that. That's a pretty cool thing that can happen with these plates is you can reuse them. But I know it's done because I can actually feel the textures. I push down with the pencil, red pen, black pen, can feel those grooves. If I flip it over, I can even see them on the back and start to feel those textures on the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the printing station with both of my papers and with my printing plate. So I'm carrying 3 things over to the printing station. I'm going to take this brayer and I'm going to roll it into this ink. So this ink is pretty sticky and thick. I'm just trying to get some ink on the entire brayer, and then I'm going to roll some of it off on the side. So I'm staying away from that big pile of ink, and I'm just making sure that this roller rolls. I want a thin layer of this ink on my styrofoam. I don't want gobs of ink. I don't want it to go into all those spots. I'm going to get a little more ink, making sure I get it all the way to the edges. So that's looking good. Then I'm going to leave that right there. I'm not going to try to pick it up or I'm going to get really messy. I'm going to take my colored paper and I'm going to lay it on there as best as I can, lining up those corners, and I'm going to set it there. And now 2 hands, I'm gently going to tap this into place, and then I'm going to push all the way around, trying to not smear, you don't want to smear it, you don't want to move it, but I'm trying to make sure I push all the way around the edges so I'm getting a nice print. I'm going to pull up and take a peek. Awesome, I can start to see the black there. I am going to push just a little bit more to make sure I have all those spots. There will be some clean brayers that you can also use to rub and roll on the back side. This will help. Okay, so that one's staying clean. Now I'm going to pick it up, pull it up, peel them apart. Oh, and I get this awesome print. So that's one print. Now I'm ready for my second one. So that means I'm going to use my messy brayer. I'm going to put another layer of ink on that plate, and I am going to lay my next print on here. I'm going to smear it really good, and then I'll get my second print. When you're finished, you're going to take your prints to the spot Mrs. Cleary is pointing out. You're going to have to take your plate to the sink, and you're going to wash it off. Just run some water on it. It's not going to get entirely clean. Rub your hand over it and then gently use some paper towel to dry it. And these are going to go in the little drying rack to dry.